Can you believe my homeowners association? The HOA cut down my 200-year-old tree, and get this, they had no idea it was worth over $1 million. This story is wild, so buckle up. It all started when I bought this beautiful house, my dream home. The absolute best part was this magnificent, ancient oak tree in the backyard. It wasn't just a tree, it was a landmark, a piece of history that had been standing there for 2 centuries. It provided shade, housed countless birds, and was the heart and soul of the property. My kids built a treehouse in it. We had picnics under it. It was part of our family. Then, the HOA struck. I started getting letters. First, it was about my mailbox being the wrong shade of beige. Then, the length of my grass. You know how they are. But then, the letters started focusing on the tree. They claimed it was a safety hazard, that a branch might fall and damage a neighbor's fence. I hired a certified arborist, a real expert, who inspected the tree thoroughly. His official report: the tree was perfectly healthy, strong, and posed no threat whatsoever. I sent this report to the HOA thinking that would be the end of it. Oh, how wrong I was. They ignored the expert report. The letters became more aggressive, threatening fines and legal action if I didn't remove the tree. The head of the HOA, a guy named Mr. Henderson, seemed to have a personal vendetta against it. He'd stare at it from his window across the street. It was bizarre. I stood my ground. I loved that tree, and I wasn't going to let some power-tripping committee bully me into cutting down a piece of history. One day I had to go on a week-long business trip. My wife and kids were visiting her parents out of state. The house was empty. When I came back, I pulled into my driveway and my heart just stopped. It was gone. The entire backyard, which used to be this lush, green oasis, was now a barren wasteland of wood chips and sawdust. In the middle of it all was a massive, ugly stump. They had done it. They had come onto my property while I was away and butchered my tree. I was shaking with rage. I felt violated. They didn't just cut down a tree. They destroyed a part of my home, a part of my family's life. I immediately called the police, but they said since the HOA had claimed responsibility, it was a civil matter. A civil matter. This felt criminal. That's when I remembered something the arborist had mentioned during his inspection. He had talked about the tree's unique history and lineage. It was a rare type of heritage oak, one of the oldest in the state. He had casually mentioned its value, not just historically, but monetarily. He said a tree like that, given its age, size, and condition, was practically priceless, but for insurance or legal purposes, it could be appraised for a staggering amount. So, I called him back. I explained what happened, and he was just as furious as I was. He agreed to do a formal, post-mortem appraisal. He also connected me with a lawyer who specialized in, believe it or not, tree law. Yes, that's a real thing. This lawyer was a legend, known for taking on HOAs and developers who illegally destroyed protected trees. The next HOA meeting was in a week. I decided not to say a word to them until then. Let them think they'd won. Mr. Henderson was strutting around like he'd just saved the neighborhood from Godzilla. He even had the nerve to smile and wave at me when he saw me in my yard, standing over the stump. The day of the meeting arrived. I walked in with my lawyer by my side. The whole board was there, looking smug. Mr. Henderson started the meeting and said, first, on a positive note, the hazardous oak tree at number 12 has been successfully removed, making the community safer for everyone. A few people clapped. I could feel my blood boiling. My lawyer stood up. He introduced himself and calmly said, "We are here regarding the removal of my client's private property." He then handed each board member a thick folder. Inside, he continued, you will find a report from a certified arborist detailing the health of the tree you destroyed. You will also find a formal appraisal valuing that hazardous tree at $1.2 million. The room went silent. You could hear a pin drop. Mr. Henderson's smug smile vanished. His face went pale. He started sputtering. That's ridiculous. It was just a tree. My lawyer wasn't finished. It was a 200-year-old heritage oak, a protected class of tree. Not only did you trespass on my client's property to destroy it, but you did so after being provided with expert testimony confirming its health. This wasn't just a mistake. This was a deliberate and malicious act of property destruction. He then laid out our demands. We were suing the HOA for the full value of the tree, plus damages for emotional distress, trespassing, and the cost of a replacement. The total came to a figure that made several board members physically gasp. He also informed them that since the HOA's insurance policy likely would uncover intentional acts of destruction, each board member could be held personally liable for the damages. Their own homes were now on the line. The aftermath was glorious. The HOA's legal counsel advised them to settle immediately. They didn't have a leg to stand on. Mr. Henderson was immediately removed as president, and eventually had to sell his house to cover his portion of the legal fees and settlement. The HOA had to levy a massive special assessment on every single homeowner in the neighborhood to pay for their monumental screw. Suddenly, I wasn't the only one mad at the HOA. The entire community was furious with the board that had just cost them all a fortune. They paid for everything. Of course, no amount of money could ever bring back my beautiful tree. The giant stump is still there, a daily reminder of what happened. I've planted a new sapling nearby, but it will be generations before it's anything like the giant we lost. But there is a silver lining. The old HOA board is gone, replaced by reasonable people who understand the value of community and respect for property. And the story of the $1 million tree has become a local legend, a cautionary tale for power-hungry HOAs everywhere. They messed with the wrong guy and the wrong tree, and they paid the price. Thanks for listening to my story. It's a crazy one, but it's true. If you have any wild HOA stories of your own, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to read them. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. See you next time.